9 things they don't tell you about living alone as an older person. Living alone as an older adult can seem like a dream for many who crave independence, freedom, and control over their lives. The quiet and solitude can be refreshing, and it offers the opportunity to set one's own schedule without compromising for others. However, the realities of living alone as you age are often not talked about. The lifestyle can come with hidden emotional, physical, and financial challenges. In this video, we will explore the untold truths about living alone in older age, diving into aspects that many overlook, but which profoundly affect the quality of life for older adults. These facts are not our own thoughts, but rather information gathered from forums and organizations of senior people, and they will undoubtedly be important knowledge as we prepare for the next stage of our life. 1. Loneliness is real, even for independent spirits. One of the most significant and often hidden aspects of living alone as an older person is the feeling of loneliness. While you may be used to spending time alone, there is a different level of solitude when you're the only person in the house for days on end. The absence of spontaneous conversations or simply having someone else around can make the days feel longer, especially if you're used to living with others for most of your life. For example, John, a 75-year-old widower, had always considered himself a strong, independent person. After his wife passed away, he thought he could adjust to living alone. However, after a few months, he found himself longing for simple human interaction. The quiet house, once a place of comfort, began to feel oppressive, and he realized that being alone all the time was much more difficult than he had anticipated. Even occasional visits from his children weren't enough to fill the void of constant companionship. 2. Home maintenance becomes overwhelming. Maintaining a household is no small task, and as you age, the chores can start to pile up. Things like cleaning, doing laundry, yard work, and handling minor repairs become increasingly difficult with time. Living alone means there's no one to share these responsibilities with, and they can become overwhelming, especially for those with declining mobility or health issues. Take Mark, 80, for example, who lives alone in his family home. While he enjoys his independence, he finds it increasingly difficult to maintain his home. The lawn needs to be mowed, the gutters need cleaning, and small repairs around the house start to add up. Eventually, Mark has to hire help, but this adds an unexpected financial burden. For many seniors, the challenges of maintaining a home are something they didn't anticipate when they started living alone. 3. Health issues are more difficult to manage alone. Another major concern for older adults living alone is the management of health issues. As you age, you become more susceptible to chronic conditions such as diabetes, arthritis, or heart disease. Living alone means managing these conditions independently, which can be daunting. You may also have to deal with the fear of having a medical emergency with no one nearby to help. For example, Albert, 70, lives with arthritis and high blood pressure. He had always prided himself on managing his health, but as his symptoms worsened, he had trouble keeping up with his medication schedule and doctor's appointments. One day, he fell in his home and broke his hip. With no one to help him immediately, he relied on his medical alert system to call for help. Although he eventually received help, the experience made him realize how vulnerable he really was when he lived alone. 4. Social isolation can affect mental health. While loneliness and social isolation are closely linked, they impact older adults differently. Loneliness is a feeling, whereas isolation refers to the actual lack of contact with others. Many older adults living alone find themselves becoming more socially isolated over time. This can be due to physical limitations, the loss of friends, or simply living in an area where they are cut off from social activities. Isolation can take a toll on mental health, leading to depression, anxiety, or a sense of purposelessness. For instance, Tom, a 68-year-old man who lived alone after his wife passed, noticed that his social circle had gradually shrunk. Friends had either passed away or moved to different parts of the country, and his children, busy with their own lives, rarely visited. Tom, who once thrived on social interactions, began to withdraw from the few activities he had left, feeling that his presence didn't matter to anyone anymore. This isolation led to depressive symptoms that he struggled to overcome without regular social interaction. 5. Financial strain and unanticipated expenses. Finances can become a major issue for older adults living alone, particularly those relying on a fixed income like Social Security or a pension. Living alone means shouldering all the household expenses without a partner to share the burden. Furthermore, unexpected costs such as home repairs, medical bills, or even hiring help for tasks you can no longer manage can quickly deplete savings and lead to financial insecurity. Take Ed, a 72-year-old retiree living on a fixed income. He had always been good with his finances, but after a series of unexpected medical bills and home repairs, he found himself dipping into his retirement savings more often than he had planned. The stress of managing bills, property taxes, and everyday expenses became overwhelming. Many older adults, like Ed, face financial challenges they didn't anticipate, making living alone more stressful than they originally thought. 6. Physical vulnerability becomes a concern. As you age, physical vulnerability becomes a more pressing issue. Simple tasks like getting out of bed, showering, or cooking can become risky if your mobility declines. The fear of falling or injuring yourself becomes more prominent, and living alone heightens this concern. Without someone there to assist you, an accident can quickly turn into an emergency. Take Paul, 78, for example. He had always prided himself on his physical health. But after developing osteoporosis, he found it harder to climb stairs or even walk around the house. One morning, he tripped over a rug and broke his wrist. It took him several hours to get to the phone to call for help, and it made her realize how vulnerable she was without anyone around. Physical vulnerability is an unspoken reality of growing older alone. 7. Cognitive decline becomes more noticeable. Living alone can sometimes exacerbate the effects of cognitive decline. Without regular social interaction or mental stimulation, it can be harder to stay sharp. This is particularly concerning for older adults who may begin to experience memory issues or early signs of dementia. Tasks that were once simple, like paying bills or remembering appointments, can become challenging. Dylan, 74, who lives alone, began to notice lapses in memory. He would forget where he put his keys, miss doctor's appointments, or forget to pay bills on time. Living alone meant there was no one to catch these errors or remind him, and this made him even more anxious about his cognitive state. 8. Household security becomes a bigger worry. For older adults living alone, household security can become a significant concern. The fear of break-ins or other security threats is often heightened, particularly in cases where physical limitations may prevent quick reactions. While technology has provided some relief through home security systems and cameras, the fear of being vulnerable to crime still lingers. Consider Frank, a 69-year-old man living alone in a suburban neighborhood. After hearing about a series of burglaries in his area, Frank became increasingly worried about his safety. He installed security cameras and added extra locks to his doors, but he still found himself waking up in the middle of the night, anxious about the possibility of a break-in. The fear of being unable to protect oneself becomes more prominent when living alone as an older adult. 9. Coping mechanisms and the importance of community. Despite the challenges of living alone, many older adults develop coping mechanisms to maintain their independence while mitigating the difficulties. Building a strong support system, staying active in the community, and seeking assistance when needed are critical strategies. Having a network of friends, neighbors, or community services can provide emotional support and help with practical tasks. For example, Eric, 71, who lives alone, decided to prioritize his involvement with the local senior center. He took exercise classes, attended social events, and maintained contact with neighbors who could check in on his grandmother regularly. By building a support system, he was able to maintain his independence while still feeling connected and safe. This proactive approach is key to successfully living alone in old age. Living alone as an older person can be both empowering and challenging. While the independence it offers is invaluable, the reality is that it comes with many unspoken difficulties. Loneliness, home maintenance, health issues, financial strain, and safety concerns are just a few of the hurdles that many face. However, by recognizing these challenges and adopting strategies to cope with them, older adults can still enjoy fulfilling and independent lives. By preparing for the hidden truths of living alone, you can make this phase of life more manageable and rewarding.